Welcome to the recap of Miss USA 2024, or in other words, the dark ages of Miss USA. It's pretty evident that this is one of the most low-budget editions of Miss USA that we have seen to date. I'm embarrassed, and it felt surreal watching the pageant. I also want to say that the performances were not on par with past editions of the pageant. And yes, I'm saying that. And I'm not blaming it on the ladies and their lack of practice or effort. It's because many of them were crowned in July and had to go straight to Miss USA. And this is what happens when we don't give our title holders months to prepare and to grow and to actually do their best. It shows during the telecast. If our ratings have been struggling already, who in the world is gonna watch one of these boring shows now in its current state? I don't think I would flip through the channels and stop to watch this show if I had no idea what it was. Let's start from the top. We had no opening dance number. Looks like we didn't have a choreographer. Didn't have the budget, I guess. We have no dancers. We have no singers, no set changes. We didn't even make use of the LEDs. And just for fun, let's do a little comparison to past editions of the opening of the show and this year. After we saw the introduction, we saw the same B-roll footage, very low quality, that we saw last year. A lot of just the contestants posing in front of the camera. They primarily stayed within the hotel. They did a little tea party event at the hotel. They had a little movie night. This is the stuff that you see happen at youth pageants at the state level. This is fine for those pageants. It's not fine for Miss USA. They did go on a couple of little excursions. They went to the Santa Monica Pier on a foggy day. They didn't go to Universal like the teens did, which I feel like they should have. And of course, they went to the Griffith Observatory, which was closed.
We made it to the iconic Griffith Observatory, and it's actually closed to the public right now. I wish we could go inside. From the outside, I can tell you that the architecture is absolutely captivating. There's an arch and a dome.
Can you imagine if the pageant was held somewhere in, say, like New York, and we were like, today, ladies, we're gonna go to the Met Museum. No, unfortunately, it's closed, so we're just gonna look at it from the outside, and I know all the art is inside, but we're just gonna be out here because we have no access. Can't even make this stuff up. It's like an episode of Parks and Rec. Gone are the glamorous dinners and events. They were just feeding them Chick-fil-A, and no shade to Chick-fil-A. Don't get me wrong. I do love some Chick-fil-A. Okay, I thoroughly enjoy Chick-fil-A. And thank God that there was somebody there feeding the contestants. But my year, we had these insane dinners and buffets every single night, and these ladies got boxes of Chick-fil-A. And just one more little comparison for fun. Let's look at one of the activities that they take the contestants on for Miss Universe Philippines. Just one. They take them to an island where they learn about the harvesting of pearls. And you know what they give them? Pearl jewelry on a beautiful island in the Philippines. It's not like we don't have beautiful things in the US too. We have plenty of our own beautiful things. We are just not showcasing any of it. Once again, here's the same clip of Layla that we saw at the Miss Teen USA show. Recycled, I get it. It's a filler, gotta cut costs. I don't even know what the point of this clip is unless you're willing to lead by example and walk the walk and talk the talk. I don't see any point of sharing about female empowerment and legacy and the organization serving these young women and giving them voices. What was the point of this clip? I'll also mention the sashing ceremony. It was so awkward. I couldn't even find a clip that the misses posted on their Instagram feeds to show it because it was so awkward. Instead, they just like kind of walked around and showed off their sashes. Fortunately, our Miss Montana Teen USA did share a clip of her sashing ceremony, which was exactly the same as the misses. And there was no music, there was no microphone. They were just shouting the girls' names. This was a huge revenue earning missed opportunity. This could have been a huge event. It could have been a welcome event. It could have been done. Heck, do it on Hollywood Boulevard, do it on Sunset Boulevard, do it on a hotel rooftop. Go somewhere and charge tickets, or at least make it a spectacle, and have big introductions and music and get it sponsored and have hors d'oeuvres and maybe a cocktail hour and invite influencers and bloggers and news sources. Like, it could have been such a thing, and it was just this. Montana! Just for funsies, let's look at Miss Universe Philippines, right? It's another Miss Universe national pageant. There's no excuses. Okay, we could be doing this too. They have press presentations, they have fashion shows, and a sponsor night with that fashion show. And then let's look at other systems like Miss South Africa. They have their own well-produced reality TV show that's available for free on their app. Multiple challenges. It's very like America's Next Top Model type format. It's amazing. It's fun to watch. It's entertaining. It's very, very high quality. There are unique experiences for the contestants. And then we cut to our top 20. And honestly, my big shock of exclusion in the top 20 was Louisiana. I don't understand at all. I think that the swimsuits weren't really great either. They didn't really complement the women's bodies. The swimsuits are probably just as bad as my year. Unfortunately, we don't have Emma Sabal as a sponsor anymore. I won't get into why that is, but Layla knows. Now let's talk about my standouts in swim. So first of all, Massachusetts. Absolutely stunning. She delivered for me. It was consistent from prelims to finals. Great. The one thing I would say though is I wish she would have done a different hairstyle. I did feel like there was too much height on the top to the point where it was distracting. Then we have Virginia. Looked absolutely amazing. Now one thing I would say about her performance though was at the end she definitely did still like the teen shoulder pop. And I was like, I don't love that, but still I loved her. And I feel like that one shoulder pop shouldn't have kept her out of a top 10. Then we have Ohio. Solid. Great walk. I'm so glad to see that she aged so well into the Miss Division. Sweet contestant. And I absolutely loved her. So I was very happy for her. Then Michigan. So Michigan though, what I like about her is that she really improved from prelims to finals. Like noticeably. Like she was good during prelims. She was on my edge and I was like, I don't know. Like, I don't know how our interview went, right? And then going into finals, I was like, okay, so she nailed swim for finals. North Carolina for me was solid. I would have loved an advancement for her. Can't explain, don't know what happened. Now New York, a lot of people are talking about New York and they're shocked at her exclusion. I wasn't that shocked because I did feel in prelims and also in finals that her shoulders were collapsed during the entire swimsuit performance. And I really feel like she needed that posture to be moving forward. And then Mississippi. So Mississippi, I wanna say, what a clever contestant here. So a lot of the capes were kind of annoying. Like they were moving around and they didn't look great on stage. Smart contestant. She took that rhinestone part of the cape and she tucked it under her swimsuit so it didn't move. It looked like a necklace. Her cape gave her no issues. So strategic. I loved her. I could have actually seen her moving on. I loved her in prelims as well. So I was sad about her exclusion. Now, Texas to me, absolutely stunning. Just so gorgeous facially. The body, everything's there. Brought a lot of great energy. Now, she was bouncing a little bit more than I wanted, but it wouldn't have been something if I were judging that would have kept me from advancing her to a top 10. Now we have California. So California was doing so well. The one thing though, when she got to the end of the runway, when she hit her little pose at the end, she really kind of like whipped it around to the side very abruptly. And I was like, oh, I wish we would have just seen a smoother transition. And then once again, we saw the same recycled clips from the teen pageant to the Miss pageant to kind of fill time in between swim and gown. We also didn't see a parade of swim. We didn't get to see all of our ladies who didn't advance into the top 20, which is just mind-boggling to me. It makes me sick to my stomach to think that these ladies work so hard, and even if they didn't advance, that they were only seen for a couple seconds at the beginning of the show, and literally a couple seconds, because they also cut the opening dance number. We had no real introductions of these ladies. It was so quick, so fast, and then we don't even see them again come out before swim, and their friends and family are there to support not just the ladies who advanced, but the ladies who didn't advance. Like, this show is about the contestants, and this year it wasn't. And then same thing for gown. We also didn't see a parade of gowns. I can't remember a time when we didn't get a parade of gowns. That is outrageous to me. These ladies and these sponsors spend so much time, so much money putting in this effort, and we don't even see them on finals night. And then we have our evening gown competition. Standouts for me. Texas, I love her, but I was really disappointed that we didn't see a gown change. I do feel like it would have helped her. Like, she needed a moment. She needed a wow moment. Now, unfortunately, they didn't let the contestants have a pose on stage. Again, just like with the teens, I'm blown away by this. They needed to fill time and space, and yet they could have filled it with things that would have made it more entertaining or ways that would have really celebrated the contestants, and they didn't. Kentucky, I also wish we would have seen a gown change. Now, she wasn't in my top 20 for finals because I was so distracted by the gown. Personally, it was too much for me. I think it would have been fabulous for a red carpet. If I saw it on a red carpet, I'm sure I would have loved it. But I wanted to focus on her and not on the gown. I was super focused on the gown. But since she did advance, I was able to pay more attention to her. And I do think she was really beautiful on stage. So she had some great facial transitions, really confident, and walked really well. So I liked this performance. Ohio was great. Great carryover performance from prelims to finals. She did a fantastic job here. One thing though is I thought that the style of the dress, it did come across to me as something a teen could wear, number one. And number two, I don't think that that shade of purple complimented her. So I really wish, if anything, even if she stayed with the style, that we would have seen it in a different color. Colorado was somebody that stood out to me at prelims, and I had a feeling that she was gonna place during finals. I really like her, and I still liked her during finals. She was somebody for me that I was like, I wonder if she'll make it into a top 5. I just really liked the way that she carried herself. I felt like she was so tall, but she just carried herself so well, like a supermodel. She was just bringing something different, like a different type of elegance, and I really liked her. Virginia, I was obsessed with. She stayed with her same gown, which was fine. It was really unique. It was beautiful. She only had a few weeks to prep and get this gown ready and get this custom made. She did a fantastic job. I really wish that she would have been in top 5. And I'm hearing a lot of people talk about a couple of contestants. They're talking about New York, Texas, Virginia, and Massachusetts when it comes to being robbed on placements. And I'm not usually somebody to get on the whole like they were robbed train, because I feel like that's very rare. And this year is remarkable because I do feel like those 4 contestants should have been advancing from their performances. And they didn't, and I felt absolutely shocked because not only did I think they should have been advancing, I thought that they were still some of the strongest performances in those various cuts of the show. So I was absolutely shocked, very disappointed. Usually when people say somebody was robbed, we're only talking about 1 contestant, but 4 contestants? I'm just very disappointed in this whole show. Massachusetts, to me, moving on, I thought that she was stunning. Loved the gown, loved the styling. It was the same as prelims, but she was just beautiful. So I loved her. I would have pushed her forward. So Tennessee, I like that she did a little turn there in the beginning. I love the gown, and I think that the styling is smart. I do think that the placement of the bun needed to be different, either higher or lower, like one or the other. It was just kind of in a weird place, I think, for me. Now, I was still surprised though to see her advance to the 5, just because I thought that there were stronger walks, and I feel like that's what a lot of people are talking about online as well. So she had to have had an incredible interview. Now we have our top 5, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna pretend. I feel like the answers for our top 5 were not answers that showed a preparedness for Miss Universe. Not from anyone. And once again, I don't necessarily feel like it's all on the contestants. I feel like a lot of this is due to a lack of preparation from your state pageant to your national pageant, and it really, really showed. And I don't mean to throw shade at any of our contestants this year. It's difficult to stand on stage and do what they do with all the pressure and the nerves. But I think that these answers could have been significantly better. And I feel in comparison, the teens did a more thorough job with their answers. They were asked, how can we bridge the gap between different cultures and fostering understanding and respect? So Michigan was first, and she said, as the daughter of a migrant worker, a proud Afro-Latino woman, and an officer in the United States Army, I am living the American dream. If there's anything that my life and my mother have taught me, it's that your circumstances never define your destiny, that you can make success accessible through demanding excellence, my personal motto. As a data scientist at Stanford University in a multicultural scholarship program, and then she said something and I missed it. But she says, if there's anything it's taught me, it's that success is accessible. So she repeated herself and said, through chasing your dreams, you can break down barriers and make a launch pad for where you're going. First and foremost, initial thoughts, I thought that it sounded quite rehearsed. Now, I will say she did share a lot of great information about herself. Loved learning about her because we had the lack of these UCAPs during the show. But it just sends the message to future contestants, ladies, don't even worry about the question that they're asking. Say whatever you want to say during that top 5 and you can still win Miss USA. If I'm being honest, I don't feel like she answered the question. I feel like she just used it as an opportunity to share about herself and her accomplishments. You know, she said a lot of nice things. They sounded beautiful, but I didn't hear really any details about bridging the gap between different cultures and fostering understanding and respect. Now we have Kentucky, and Kentucky said, I think education is really important. Not a bad start. I feel like that's a very fair thing to say. And then she says, we just need to educate people on different cultures. That way people will know a lot more. Just having it be accessible, information to people. That's really important when people are finding that information, because that can sometimes be a barrier, finding the information out there. So just providing accessible information and, you know, making it ready for people to do. That was a word salad to me. I don't know if she didn't understand the question. I don't even know what to say with the answer. I felt very confused by it. I really don't have much to share on that. I feel like her initial answer of educating people would have made a lot of sense, and then she just got lost in the tumbleweeds. Now we have Tennessee, and she says, I think our generation needs to listen to each other. Through listening to each other, we can find respect for one another. So not a bad start. I was like, okay. And then she said, right now on social media, I'm listening to those that follow my platform on Miss Tennessee. But she makes no mention of what this platform is. And then she goes on and wraps it up by saying, and I want to bridge that gap by continuing to listen to them as your next Miss USA. Listen to who? Listen to what? How is listening, just listening, bridging a gap? Listening is one thing, but I feel like after you listen, what actions should be taken in order to bridge that gap and to foster understanding and respect? Oklahoma, her initial delivery from the second that she started by saying, absolutely. It sounded very Miss America. I don't know if she's competed in the Miss America system, but the delivery was so America. Then she said, well, first of all, as an operations director of a $6 million coffee house operation across the state of Oklahoma, and I was like, okay, this sounds like this could be a good answer, right? She continued to say, I work with people of all different cultures, whether it's young, elder, black, white, doesn't matter. I was very confused by referencing young and elder as a culture, and that's when I was like, uh-oh, where are we going with this? Then she says, I work with so many different people, with so many different beliefs, with so many different purposes. But what's important is that we are all here to achieve the same mission. And I feel like that line, the delivery of it, I feel like she was trying to make it like this mic drop moment, but then it was more of like a cliffhanger where all of us were like, what mission? What are we talking about? And then she says, and once you know that you can achieve the same mission we can get behind each other and continue to support and give each other respect as Americans. My question still stands. What mission, and once again, how are you bridging the gap between cultural differences and fostering understanding and respect? Then we have Ohio. So she says, I am blessed to have come from Dayton, Ohio, where it's very diverse and I've been taught respect and a love for diversity. And I think it's very important to understand that there's so much more that brings us together than keeps us apart. So once again, I felt like the beginning of this answer, I was like, okay. And then she says, as Miss Ohio USA, I've definitely fostered an area where I can show people that pain is something we all go through and we can make it through those challenges, and that's something that brings us together. I can't understand the connection she was trying to make between pain, challenges, and then fostering understanding and respect. I feel like the beginning of the answer was making sense, and then I was waiting to hear the end of it. Then the ladies got to do their final walk, and they did have what I would consider like a mini UCAP that they filmed after or before their interviews. And what was interesting is that Michigan said word for word what she just quoted in her onstage question in her UCAP. She talked about being a data scientist. She talked about making success accessible. It was just like word for word exactly what she said. So as I suspected, her answer for her onstage question was quite rehearsed. And I personally don't feel like that's a great strategy for any pageant. I don't feel like it's a great strategy for Miss Universe. And I feel like the reason she ended up with this placement and things happened as they did was because when you listen to these other questions, I really couldn't make sense of where they were going with them. When you consider that, it's like, okay, well, who do we pick? Well, we're going to pick the one who at least shared about herself, her accomplishments. Like, at least she made her answer very unique. Now, here's something interesting. I did not notice, maybe I'm wrong, that there was an accounting firm certifying these results. It was also interesting to hear that they no longer say that Miss USA gets a six-figure salary. They just say that she gets an annual salary, a luxurious apartment in Miami, a luxury vehicle, and other prizes. So vague, so ambiguous, who even knows what she gets? Now, one thing that was really cool, though, that I liked, and I was like, I want to see more of this stuff, is they announced that 2 contestants will be walking for Sherry Hill's New York Fashion Week, and those ladies are Louisiana and Nevada, so congratulations to them. My question is, though, are we bringing back Miss USA walking for Sherry Hill's New York Fashion Week? Because I would love to see that, too. Now, we have our placements. 4th runner-up, Ohio. 3rd runner-up, Tennessee. 2nd runner-up, Oklahoma. 1st runner-up, Kentucky. And then Michigan was our winner. And oh my gosh, why are we so dedicated to this scepter for crowning? Goodness, Savannah put that thing right in front of her face. Also, I'm just really not a big fan of this crown. It just doesn't look expensive. I hate that there was no press event explaining the reason behind the crown and the significance of it. We got none of that. And let me tell you, I'm no florist, but this bouquet that they gave her was shameful. I bet I can make a better bouquet out of some Trader Joe's flowers. Honestly, don't even give her the flowers at this point. But at least we got to see that she got a first walk and we got to see the contestants hugging her. We didn't get to see that for our Miss Teen USA, which was really disappointing. Overall, I'm very disappointed with the show, and I'm really sad to say that. I keep hoping that things will get better, and things just keep getting cut down more and more. And I know that there are even more things that we can cut out of the show, right? Like, we could tell the girls that you can bring your own opening number dress or outfit, wear whatever you want, just make sure that it's red, right? Or just make sure it fits the theme of the pageant this year. We can cut costs there. We can combine our teen and our Miss preliminaries. We can run them consecutively back to back at a venue, and we can also clear the audience, so we still charge people double for the tickets for those shows. If you want to, you can even combine a finale, have the crowning of Miss Teen USA and Miss USA at the same show. You can do that. Why even go to Miss USA and Teen USA for a week? Cut it down to a long weekend. Have a check-in just like they do at youth pageants. Shoot your B-roll and have your rehearsals on one day. Next day, do all your preliminary competitions and your interviews. Of course, you'll run that consecutively with your 2 judging panels. And then your last day, just have your final shows, in and out, one and done, because that feels like the type of effort that we're putting into the show right now. Another thing that I didn't like to see that was already sent to me was that Miss Michigan USA met Carol, a former Miss USA, when she was crowned at her state pageant. Now, I don't believe Carol was a judge at her state pageant, but she was there, she did see it, she did watch it, and we don't know what kind of interactions that they had after that state pageant. And I hate things like this. This is not what anybody means when we talk about transparency in pageants. I don't think that these things should be overlooked because we don't know what was said between Carol and Michigan at that pageant. And I don't necessarily think that, yeah, one judge, is going to be that determining factor, but sometimes they are. I don't like when contestants have unfair advantages in comparison to other contestants. I'm not a fan of that. I feel like they should have a level playing field. And so when I see things like that, I'm only further disappointed. I don't see things looking brighter for us yet under the current leadership. I feel like we're just going to get a lot of this. I'm really curious to see what the CW is going to do after these shows. I would love to know about the viewership because I can't imagine it was very high. The shows were both very, very low budget, very boring, no performers, no entertainment. It sounded like we were probably using royalty-free music. I'm just sad. I'm sad, and I'm not excited about watching the show. I don't like doing an episode like this. And just stay tuned for my next episode about Miss USA. That'll be coming very soon. Can't wait to share that one with you.